Go center, right?
Sir Kaya Redford. So great to see you again, my friend.
What's up, Sandee? You're incredible. I'm just
Oh
so
my
excited
God.
to be on your show. You're beaming today. You've got the biggest smile in the universe. And wow, big
So, like,
topic today, too.
yes, we've got a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh.
Not
I
that
mean,
I even know what we're going to talk about, but I know
well,
it's thing about happiness.
I don't know what we're going to talk about either. I never know what I'm going to talk about with my guests. We just start talking. And the first thing, because I know I said this to you before I started recording. So, just for the audience, Kaya and I met at Rainmaker and Ultimate Wealth Camp Icon Speaker Program in Chicago, Bill Walsh's Power Team International. And we sat next to each other for a few days. I didn't know you were a sir. And I want to talk about that. You've got so many great things. But what I was wondering, because I'm looking at your bio and I see this picture of you with Ashton Kutcher, and that you're an award-winning director and producer of your documentary called Homeless in America. And then I was like, I meant to ask you this. Are you related to Robert Redford? Is that I saw
You
that? I'm
know,
like,
it's funny. So the answer to that is by 6 degrees of separation, we're all related, right?
yes.
And I think we might even be getting into some spirituality today as well. And A Course in Miracles, something that I'm a miracle-minded coach, trained in
Yes.
A Course in Miracles and trained by the Marianne Williamson. And
That's right.
it says
That's
we're
right.
all one. Come on now, we're all
We
one.
are.
And I would say that he's an incredible, Robert Redford's an incredible man. Has an icon in the
He
film
really
industry.
is.
It
He
certainly
really
has
is.
inspired me and so many other people. Uh, and yeah, based on that, you bringing that up, the documentary Homeless in America in 2004, and actually won best social documentary at the International New York Film Festival. And it was just a
Wow.
passion project of seeing people that are, struggling, living on the streets, and picking up a camera. And I did it with a very amazing, incredible, and eccentric man called Tommy Wiseau. You definitely want to look him up if you've ever seen the movie. I think The Disaster Artist.
Mm.
I think it's called that. They made a movie about him. He's a director producer, and he made a movie called The Room. They made a movie about him that won a Golden Globe award,
The
and
Room. I think
yeah,
I,
he made The Room, and so what happened is he it was like an independent movie, right? I think he spent, I don't know how much money on it, but it's a high level production, but maybe, you know, one would say he was doing the best he could. And he was so passionate about it. And he got a billboard on Brea in Hollywood. And for 10 plus 14 years, he would promote the movie. And everybody was just laughing at it, thought it was a joke. It's like the worst movie. It was on Rotten Tomatoes, the worst movie ever made, blah, 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 blah. But he persevered and kept playing the movie and marketing it. And then out of the blue, this sort of cult-like following, these people started to show up, and they would watch the movie, and they would like make noises and go crazy while watching the movie. So eventually what happened is he got a following, and people would come watch the movie and start throwing footballs in the movie theater, like stuff that you never would ever see happen in a movie theater started happening. And so he grassroots, he grew it. And then at some point, that Hollywood, who thought it was just a joke, this movie, this terrible acting, this terrible this terrible that, started to pay attention to it, because this guy's now making money. He's got an actual following. He's made this movie a success.
that's
So,
incredible. And
so
so,
they made a
like,
movie about him making the movie. And it's a great story. It's about,
well, perseverance.
yeah, and the world's
Yeah.
you're never going to make anybody happy. People are going to laugh at you when you have a vision and a goal,
Yeah.
and you've got to believe in yourself. And even if in other people's eyes, what you have is a piece of crap or a piece of shit, in your eyes, if it's gold, if you can find people who resonate with that and relate to it, he found an audience for it. And now I think I spoke to him about a year ago, he's flooded with scripts. There's people that, because, you know, his movie, that movie won a Golden Globe, created a lot of traction. And so now other people want to work with him. So there's a place in this world for everybody and everybody's gift and everybody's art. Even when the world wants to tell you no, the answer is you get to believe in yourself and you get to know that you have that.
Oh, I love it. I love that. And what a great story. And thank you for sharing that, because that's just, I love sharing stories like that on my podcast, because that's what it's about,
Yes.
we
And
learn from
I
other
met
people.
him, we were filming Homeless. We met, we became friends. We filmed Homeless in America. This was after he had done The Room. And he's just an eccentric chap, as they say. And I wish him the best. And I'm sure maybe, who knows, we'll do something, maybe Homeless in America #2. I've always been an advocate for people that are suffering. And I think
Yes.
that's what really drew me to that project. And the learnings that I got from that is that what we think of as a homeless person is we really don't have a clue. We think that there are people that, I'm not saying everybody, but some people are super connected and want to make a difference and reach out. And so thank you so much to the people that are donating and giving and come across a homeless person on the street and give them some food or help them out. That's what this is about. But in general, there is a stigma about the homeless. And what people don't realize and what came out in the documentary is there's many reasons why a person sometimes finds themselves homeless. And the idea behind that is that, and it's even said in a documentary by a homeless person, and it was actually true, that the average American, I heard somewhere that the average American doesn't even have $10,000 in savings. Like if they had a emergency surgery or emergency situation, they had to come up with 10 grand, it would be a massive challenge. So the idea that the average American, if that person lost their job or lost their opportunity, the average person is 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless themselves. Now,
That is correct.
do they recognize that? Does a person know that? Does a person even think that way? The average person think that I'm 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless. That's not a normal way of thinking.
No.
And it certainly doesn't happen to the majority of people. They find a way to pull through and make the money and land a job or get a new job. Or I know with, COVID and certain things happen, the government support. But in reality, we get to have a lot more compassion because we're all one, we're all the same. And a lot of people that are homeless are there because of mental disorders or diseases or something like to that effect. And unfortunately, we've discovered that a lot of the homeless are veterans. The
Yes.
veteran population that is homeless is huge. And so they come back from the war having given their everything, right?
Everything. Yeah.
And I don't want to get into my philosophy because I'm very anti-war, me personally. I think there's a lot of healing that gets to happen in this world. So I'm not a proponent on war. So I'm not exactly excited about the sacrifice, so-called. I'm just being transparent, speaking my own truth, my own honesty. I'm not that excited about fighting for our freedom, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy into that completely. I'm certainly in belief that in certain situations, you have no choice but to protect your country. But I think there is definitely an agenda of greed, power, money, and control that is really the secondary agenda by most wars.
Yeah.
It's less to do with freedom. It's more about resources, money, and power and control. And it sickens me. And but let's just say these men and these women go and put their lives on the line for whatever they believe is the call
Right.
of nobility and of service. And they come back with PTSD, and they come back so screwed up. They come back addicted to all these medications, which, by the way, have all these side effects. I had one of my, I won't mention his name, but we'll call him John. He came back, he went to 2 wars, he came back, severe PTSD on 14 pills a day. He lost his, basically his wife started cheating on him because he was living in bed every single day and not able to function. He had 3 kids. He couldn't even give himself the medication. And sometimes his kids had to give the medication. His wife just can't deal with it. She ends up cheating, having an affair. Next thing you know, she leaves. And then she takes the kids. So now he's lost his wife and his 3 kids. He then proceeds to then lose the house because he can't manage.
Yeah.
Too many issues. Then he's living in his car. Then from his car, he loses his car, gets repossessed. Then he loses the car and he's homeless. I only ever found out about him because I was doing a seminar, a coaching program for Melaleuca, which is
Yeah, I know Melaleuca.
it's like
No,
Herbalife.
I use a lot of their produccs, as a matter
Oh,
of
well, there you
fact.
go. Shout
Yeah.
out to Melaleuca.
Yes,
They hired me
yes.
to do a keynote speech
Okay.
to their entrepreneurs, their salespeople, and how to build their business, and he was in the room. What happened is a woman had met, or someone had met him and found him. I guess he was functionally at least speaking, and they wanted to help him, and they thought, okay, he's really struggling. Maybe I can bring him into this business opportunity and I can help him make money. Well, he told me later the only reason he could care less about, the only reason he came because he had a crush on a girl that he met at one of the meetings, and he wanted to come and see that girl.
Oh my
Well, I did
goodness.
my presentation. At the very last 5 minutes of the presentation, after I share with them about our success coaching program and all that, I said, we also give back. I directed Produce Homeless in America. We rehabilitate veterans that have PTSD. And that was then that he said he had not paid attention to a single thing I said for an hour and a half. But in the last 5 minutes, when I talked about we rehabilitate veterans with PTSD, their suicidal, their depression, anxiety, and all that, he said he paid attention. And then we did a raffle where one person was going to win a ticket to come to the event, and apparently he told everybody up and down, there's 200 people in the room. He told everybody up and down on his row, I'm a veteran. I've got this problem and I'm going to win that freaking ticket. I don't have money. I need this. I need this. I need this. And we did the raffle, and the university, he wins the ticket. One out of
No.
100 people. He comes to our program, which is Breakthrough Mastery. And we also have another program called Top Producing Faster to Your Wealth and Freedom for entrepreneurs. He comes to our program. It's basically based on neuroscience, neurolinguistic programming, timeline therapy, hypnosis, healing, healing and learning how to become the best version of yourself and achieve your goals. He comes to our program, and it was a challenge because he had a lot of, I won't get into the gory stories, but in war, you're exposed to the worst, very worst of humanity, the
Yes.
graphic details of what he shared on stage. I could see the effect on everybody in the room, and we think we have problems.
Yeah.
You
No
think you have
kidding.
problems, and I don't even want to, because the images are so graphic. But we went through the process. He actually went through an NLP certification, timeline therapy certification, where you heal yourself, you become the best version of yourself, and you learn how to do that for other people. From there, he went and got a job. So he was in a good place, got a job, from that job, he bought a car, he created some more opportunities, got 2 cars, if I remember correctly, bought 2 cars. He had lost his house. He went back to the VA, did what he needed to do, got a house, and then he actually fought for custody of his kids. Would you believe he got full custody of his kids back? And it was roughly around this time people told him, you'll never amount to anything, before he'd done the breakthrough. You know, he had a dream of getting a college degree. You'll never be able to succeed in life. You're never, like, you can't even, you have such severe PTSD, how, and you can't even sit through a 1 hour talk, let alone go through a 4-year university. You can't do that. That same man graduated magna cum laude with a
Mm,
year degree.
wow. And this is all after going through your program.
Yes. And I forgot to mention one piece. This is after he had tried to commit suicide, right? So before I
Okay.
met him, he shared with me, and he shared on stage in the seminar, that he had tried to commit suicide 3 times. The third time that he tried, he literally put a rope to the ceiling, and the only,
Hmm. He tried to hang himself. Oh my goodness. I can tell you that's
he,
choking you up. Yeah. Mm, that's tough. That's so tough.
the
But
rope broke.
but the
The
rope
rope broke
broke. Okay.
because he was overweight and it couldn't hold his weight.
Wow.
And
Oh,
and he shared that he was upset and angry that he wasn't good enough to end his life.
yeah. And I've heard that from people too, um, that when they're unsuccessful at committing suicide, that kind of messes them up in a way. Wow, I can't even do this right.
Yeah.
And that's, oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. The homeless has always been a topic near and dear to my heart because my brother was homeless for a very long time. And it was
Wow.
all due to mental illness. And fortunately, where I live in Virginia, the county has a program, and they were able to get him an apartment. And for the first few years, he had multiple people stopping by multiple times a week to check on him, to make sure he was okay, and got him on the correct medicine and just all of that. And he's fine today. And, but it was probably 30 years of, in and out of being homeless. It's tough as a family member too, when you can't do anything to help them, because a lot of
Mm,
times in that situation, they won't help themselves.
right.
And you have to, it's that difficult, tough love that you have to give, because they have to want to help themselves. And that was the situation that we went through, that he didn't want any help.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do anything about it. But that's just incredible. Well, let's move on, because we've got a lot to talk about, and I don't
We
want
got a
to
lot to talk about.
my listeners, I know they're used to shorter episodes. Just real quick, how on earth were you knighted by His Royal Highness Prince Raphael of Spain as an honorary Knight of Merit of the Royal Order of Constantine the Great? Like, where did that come from?
Constantine the Great and Saint Helen.
St.
Yes.
Helen. Yeah.
Um,
Where did this come from? My goodness.
I got a call from John, uh, uh, a entrepreneur leader. He has a financial services company. So I had trained his company. So we've trained, a lot of the real estate companies, the number one offices, the number one agents, Century
Mhm.
21, Williams, Remax. We also train New York Life, WFG, World Financial Group, Patrick David's company, PHP. So I've been doing a lot of work for a lot of time, coaching companies on not only how to be successful, but also how to make a difference in the world, how to empower people. And I think just the body of work, whether it's the homeless in America, the work with the veterans of PTSD, we also support Thorn, Ashton Kutcher. You talked about Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher, Demi Moore started an organization called Thorn for eradicating child trafficking, which, as you know, right now is a very big hot topic with
Yes.
the Freedom, which is a great movie. So I've been doing a lot of philanthropy and success coaching for many years, and I just got a call one day by someone that was part of this organization, the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and Saint Helen, his mother. And if you're wondering, Constantine, who's that? It's Emperor Constantine, the first emperor that actually brought Christianity into Rome. So it is a spiritual order, and not necessarily where it includes everybody, anybody that is making a difference in the world. It's really about your contribution to the world. You could be of any different faith,
Mhm.
non-religious, religious, you could be of any faith. So I got the call, and next thing you know, a few months later, Prince Raphael of Spain is flying out. Shout out to Prince Raphael on the great works that he's doing, and then also Duke Gerhardt and a few others. They flew out, and we had a knighting investiture. And there were a few of us that were selected. And it was an incredible experience. It was a very spiritual experience for me, because I know we're all humans in the room, even
Right.
right. But whenever I get into a place like that, it for me was a very sacred experience. I think for some people, getting knighted is, and I'm just mind reading, I could be wrong. I think for some people, getting knighted is about, this is what I've done. This is recognition of the work I've done. It was and it is absolutely not that for me. For me, I'm still wiping, because the tears that came, and my nose is now running from my story we shared earlier. And I don't even have any tissue right here, so whatever, it's okay. For me, it's a call to serve.
Yeah.
It's like it's like the Holy Spirit, it's like God coming in and saying, I want you to serve at an even higher level.
Mm.
You to serve at an even higher level with a group of people that collaborating with a group of people that are moving in that same direction. And what we want to do is just help their big cause. I'm involved in many causes, but the big cause for the order is women and children that are starving, that are domestic, victims of domestic violence,
Mhm.
trafficking, and so forth. So they're really focused on building shelters that can help these people get back on their feet, heal,
Nice.
and grow. And it's right touch my heart, because I don't just care about these different causes and charities. The work I do heals, right? So I'm as we mentioned, neuroscience, neurolinguistic programming, timeline therapy, and hypnosis. We have a process where people heal their past and create their future by design, and then achieve their vision, whatever that vision is. So
Wow. That's incredible. All right. A Course in Miracles. We want to talk about that.
the
That was
Course in
something.
Miracles. Boom!
Oh, I mean, I think we
Yeah,
may have to do a whole nother episode just on that, but
yeah.
because there's so much to talk about. I was introduced to it years and years ago. I studied it on a weekly basis. We would have a group that would get together once a week, and I did that for about 12
Yes.
years. And it just really made sense to me, and I just loved it. And now you worked directly with Marianne Williamson, because that's who I learned it from, just from her books. And, and I like the way she explains it. I used to listen to her books on tape. I think I told you when I was training for the Marine Corps Marathon, which I ran in 2006, I listened to
Congratulations.
her. Thank you. I
Yeah.
listened to her when I would have a 10, 15-mile run. I would just pop on her book and just listen to it as I was running. And
Yes.
just so for the listeners out there, can you just do as brief a synopsis as you can on the Course in Miracle? Because I've never talked about it on my podcast just yet.
Perfect. I would love to. Can I clean my nose real quick?
Please,
Can you take
you
a quick
clean your
pause?
nose. We can take a quick pause. I'm going to pause the recording for 2 seconds. All
We're
right, we
back.
just took a 2-minute break. Not even 2 minutes. It was
Oh
like
my
not even
gosh,
30 seconds.
and I have to plug my computer in. Oh my gosh, give me a second here. I am so sorry.
It's all good.
I
So I
thought
love
it, thought
I
it was
love
so. but
neuro-linguistic programming. We're doing some training right now. You know, I'm involved in the mentor studio, and we're do you know
regatta.
Regatta with a B? She's at
Uh,
the actual NLP. She has the NLP training center at Georgia,
okay.
from the person who started it or whatever. But anyway, she's doing some training for us. So I love that. Whole nother conversation on NLP. So
Yes,
let's get back to the course, because it's just so much. It's just so much
it's so much.
yeah. But let's just briefly, I just want to give an intro to the Course in Miracles for my
Mhm.
listeners, just because you know, I don't, on my podcast, you know, I try really hard not to talk about politics, religion. You know, I think those are personal things. And again, Course in Miracles is just another spiritual practice, if you will. It's a spiritual writing that may make sense for some people, and it's you know, it's not really contradictory to anything else. It's kind of like its own body of work. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I would say that the Course in Miracles is called, well, I just said that. It's actually
A
it's a Course in Miracles because it states that it doesn't have a monopoly. It doesn't profess to be the course. It's basically saying that there are multiple paths
right,
to um, source,
the
universe,
source,
God, love,
divinity,
Jesus.
right?
I want
Buddha,
to call it
Jesus,
Buddha, Allah,
Allah.
because
Yeah,
I respect everybody's
absolutely.
definition of it. And so
Yep.
it says that, you go to the curriculum that resonates with you and draws you. And I had read the Bible 1.5 times through back many years back, and I was struggling. What brought me to the course, I believe, is enormous amount of struggle. Um, and it has saved me from that. So before we get into the course, my journey to the course, my dad was so I was 6 years old living in Algeria, and that's my earliest memories of fear. A lot of gnarly things happening. My dad was a workaholic. He was always gone. My mom turned into an alcoholic for a period of time. And we were under the chaperone and under the care of certain people that my dad trusted. And these people were psychopaths. So a lot of the most darkest things that you don't want a kid to go through, I went through. The physical abuse, the mental, the stuff, the emotional, and the other
Mm,
one is, um, you know, uh, uh, a topic that most people don't want to talk about, but now it's very big now with
yeah,
sounds of freedom and human trafficking and child trafficking and sex trafficking. So
right.
went through all the abuse. So summarizing this, in my 20s and 30s, I survived the childhood. In my 20s and 30s, I'm lost, and I don't know why. I have no
Yeah.
purpose, no direction, no self-worth, no self-esteem. If you had asked me at that time, I wouldn't even know. I didn't know that I was lost. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Now looking back, I knew that I now know I was living in fear. And that's really what the course is about. The course is about transmuting that fear into love, forgiveness and letting go and healing and realizing that you're the light. I'm the light.
Yeah.
Well, in my 20s and 30s, I'm blocked. I'm trying to start things, never doing anything. I have no money. I have a car that keeps breaking on the freeway. The radiator is leaking. I have no money to fix it. I'm driving the sucker for 10 minutes. It overheats. I have to pull over on the freeway where cars going 70 miles an hour, wait for the radiator to cool down, pour water in it. Like, I lived $1 to week by week to my name, to my pocket. And it was a horrendous, miserable experience. And then I finally went to my first seminar to fix me. I got invited, someone invited me, gave me a free ticket to join them. They had a pay ticket, and I went to fix me. And I went through the process of learning, the secret. I worked with, first mentor was Chris Howard. I walked out of his seminar because he said, visualize your future. and all I saw was more shit because I was living in
Mm,
shit. And if you tell me to close my eyes and visualize my future, I'm just going to see more shit.
right. Yeah, that makes
I walked
sense.
out of that seminar, and then 2 years later, I saw The Secret, and then that was the beginning of awakening and realizing I had negative thinking and positive thinking. And I started studying with Bob Proctor, Michael Beck, with Jack Canfield. I ended up becoming one of their coaches. And even though I'm still stuck in so many ways, I actually became their number one coach for a period of time in their program called Science of Getting Rich. And then from there, studying the Bible, and still this thing is just nagging, this thing of insecurity and no self-worth and no self-esteem, while at the same time, oddly enough, I say this today because I feel that God is still using me to coach people and heal people, even though I'm still not fixed completely, which is interesting because what the Course in Miracles says, very interesting. This is so interesting. Most people think, oh, the coach needs to be this perfect thing, this perfect person.
Mm-mm.
The coach is the answer, is the guru, right? Actually, not. What the Course says, let's call it A Course in Miracles says, is you are not the water, you are the faucet. God is the water. You are just the faucet.
That's right.
That and by the way, if you're watching this, I know I have clients now, they don't resonate with the word God. They resonate with the word the universe. They believe in the universe. Interchangeable, your higher self,
Exactly.
your future
Yep.
self, God, whatever it is for you, just realize the Course says, just realize it talks about the authority problem. Just realize you are not the authority of yourself. You did not create yourself. If you can just accept that you did not create yourself,
Right.
and you go, well, my mom and dad created me. Well, no, your mom, who created your mom and dad?
Right.
There is a author of this universe. I think Marianne talks about it as the universe is the handwriting of God. There's an author that created this, and they say today, we don't even have a clue. We don't even understand barely 1% of the universe.
Right.
We
That's
can
right.
see from our visible sky. So it goes beyond even our comprehension. So this thing created us. And in this process of connecting to that, that's why she has a book and she calls it Return to Love.
A return to love. Yeah.
Is I read the Bible and I felt like, and ironically, I will say this, ironically, even though it wasn't the full answer for me at that time, ironically, if I look back at that one little patch of 6 months where my relationships were better than they had ever had been, it was actually while I was reading the Bible every single day for a year and a half.
Okay.
I still went into, I was still in holding on to something. And then one day I had this pinching pain on my chest. I promise you, I'm getting to the Course in Miracles, but it's just my context for this is so important because it's my breakthrough. I had this pinching feeling on my chest. I'm already coaching these companies. I felt like I've made it. I made my money and I'm like no longer driving a piece of crap car that's breaking on the freeway. I'm making a difference. I probably feel like, I'm it.
Right.
Ego, right? And
Yeah.
I'm pinching pain on my chest and I'm having a hard time breathing. And I'm like, well, what the heck is this? I go to the hospital. They run a couple tests and they said, I'm sorry, sir, but we just did an EKG. We've just done an ultrasound. You're saying it's here. We don't see anything. We've run a bunch of tests, your blood. Yeah, you could probably improve this, but we're going to send you to a psychologist and we're going to write a prescription for you to go see a psychologist because we think you just have anxiety. I
Mm.
am madder than hell because you can't tell me this is pinching pain is anxiety when I'm the anxiety depression coach. I help people get through that. I know what, it's not that. And they said, I'm sorry, but, we're going to send you home with a prescription. We have one more test, but we already know that test is not going to reveal nothing. So you can start packing your stuff. And then right as I'm packing my stuff, someone comes in and says, just hold on a minute. We have some good news and some bad news. I'm like, well, what's that? They said the good news is you don't need to see psychologists or therapists. The bad news is you cannot leave the hospital. You need to have open heart surgery.
What?
I don't know if you
Oh
can.
my gosh. No, I can't see. Oh, there I can see it. Holy moly. There's his scar. Oh my gosh. And
You
how
need to
old were
have
you,
open heart.
Kaya?
I was 41. You need to have open heart surgery. You have an ascending aortic aneurysm. And this is huge because this is really helps. This is a massive breakthrough for me. And I know it's leading to a massive breakthrough for someone that's watching this right now. You have an ascending aortic aneurysm, which is the swelling of the artery above the heart, which if you think about it, my childhood from, I haven't told you all the specifics of it. We don't need to get
Right.
into it, but I had a broken heart.
Of course you did. Yeah.
Very young age, had a broken
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up not thinking I was not good enough.
Right.
I knew I was not good enough. Like I knew I didn't matter. I knew I wasn't good enough.
Mm.
So I had this broken heart, and then I went to boarding school and abandoned there. So just a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm going, and then I went through the surgery, and that was a very, very, like, I cannot even explain to you for people that have medical issues or health issues. I'm facing my life. I have
Yeah.
my two sons, they're 15 and 16, who are looking at me as they're wheeling me into surgery, crying, thinking they're never going to see their dad alive again.
Oh my
I
gosh.
had to do timeline. I couldn't even be there for myself. I had to do timeline therapy on my own two sons so they would not worry, so I could go in surgery and do this thing. So suffice to say, 3 4 months later, I have, the doctor said after this surgery, it's extremely invasive, as you would imagine. You have to be
Yeah.
cut.
They have to,
You have, they
they
have to
rip open your
saw. They have
chest.
to
Yeah.
saw the bone. They have to
Yes.
open. It's like the Mayan thing,
Yep.
right? Like that's what it is. And Dr. Cohen, who's, by the way, I'm writing a book called Resurrected.
Resurrected.
Dr.
Cool.
Dr. Robin Cohen, who did the surgery, has agreed to be in the book, and a bunch of other people. And he just told me back then, he said, when you have this surgery, I want to let you know, we were talking about possible anxiety, depression, and you don't have that. You had this actual thing in your chest, in your
Hmm.
heart, but you will this time, you will go through anxiety, depression, because I know you're physically fit. You like to work out. You like to do all this stuff. Your life is never going to be the same again, and blah, 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 blah. I end up going through anxiety, depression. And then here enters the Course in Miracles. I'm crying every day. In fact, I don't even realize I'm crying every day. I told my partner, Veronica, the doctors are wrong. I'm not going through anxiety, depression. I'm stronger than this, strong. This is the guy. You need to just stop pretending. You've been crying every single day the last 90 days. That's when I realized I was in a depression. And I had this roller, right?
Hmm.
I have so much scar tissue, and it's so stiff, right? That I'm supposed to stretch. And I had this roller, and I'm doing the roller. And I just said, I'm just done. I just can't do this anymore. I'm done with, like, how did I end up here? How did I need something? And I took basically I wound up watching a video with Oprah
Mm.
on Essence Magazine. She's speaking to 3,000, 4,000 people, and she's saying to the audience, look, you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. You're just asking the wrong question.
Mm.
What question am I asking, Oprah? You know, my life is like, I'm almost dying. Everything is just all the crap I've been through.
So
You
what
know,
question, right?
what question? She says, you're asking for what you want. This is in alignment with the Course. This is what brought me to the Course. She's asking, she didn't say go to the Course in Miracles. She never even mentioned it. She says, you're asking for what you want. You want the success, you want the house, you want the car, you want the beautiful spouse, you want the amazing kids. She says, you can have all that and more. She says, but you're not asking the right question. She says, ask not for what you want. She says, if you would just ask what your creator wants for you.
Mm. What does your creator want for me?
For
What does
me.
my creator, like what,
And then,
so you say to your creator, what do you want from me?
what do you want from me? Not what I want for me. And man, if we go on an hour from this, I had a massive breakthrough. Didn't know it at the time, the different part of it, but the massive breakthrough is I realized like I don't cuss, but I feel like when it gets to this moment, I want to cuss because it's so passionate, but I won't cuss. But I realize I'm just screwed up. I'll just say that. I realized I'm just screwed up because I've read the Bible. I kind of got on that train a little bit and then got off it. And I just realized I'm completely disconnected. I don't pray. I don't this. I don't that. And then I realized I need a mentor. I'm friends with Mayor Paul Leon. By the way, shout out to Mayor Paul Leon. He's a pastor. I thought of him. I thought of reading the Bible again, but I'm like, that's not going to work because I did it and I still had all these problems. Probably just didn't do it for long enough. I'll give it that as well. And then I thought of Joel Osteen. This
I
is
love
what
Joel Osteen.
I thought. Joel Osteen, it's
He's great.
Bible, plus it's
Yeah.
motivational speaker. And then while I'm trying to find, like a lifeline, like I feel like I'm drowning here. I feel like I need a rope to, this little silent little voice comes and whispers in my ear. And I thought, okay, I have read that a little bit. I tried to, and I couldn't handle it at that time.
Yeah.
Joined a group, maybe showed up for the first 2-3 meetings. And it's interesting, Marianne Williamson says this all this time. Everybody had this very similar experience where the Course in Miracles comes in your life. And then for some reason, you put it on a shelf and you don't do it. And then it comes back to your life later. It returns. And it was in this moment that I said, I'm messed up. I'm screwed up. It's a different word I'm hearing in my head, but I want to be respectful
Thank you.
for your audience. I'm just so screwed up. And I surrendered, Sandee. I just said, I'm done. I'm done. I'm so done, even though I had success. I've coached these companies. They all think I'm it, blah, blah, blah. I know inside I'm in so much freaking pain. I'm just so done living my life my way. What do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? I'm just going to shut up and I'm just going to do what God asked me to do because me doing it my way, I'm just screwed. I'm just screwed. Or I wouldn't even say I'm screwing things up. I would say a different way is today I would realize that I was miserable.
Right.
So it's not that I didn't have results, it's that I had results, but I was still miserable. So I said, I'm going to give my life to God, go to the Course in Miracles. I'm going all the way with this. And if it doesn't work, I'm screwed anyway. So I already know doing it my way, I already know what it creates.
Right.
So I put on the earphones because I don't like to flip pages. I don't have the patience. I'm always moving. I put on the earphones, and in the first 30 minutes, I had a massive breakthrough.
Yeah.
Course in Miracles, literally, interestingly enough, I use the word nailed me. It nailed me to the wall, which is interesting because Christ got nailed on the cross.
Right.
It nailed me because it just called me out. It called out my ego. It didn't say this because it doesn't say, I know you're a coach and I know that you coach companies and you need to do this. It didn't say that, but it was speaking as if this is the message I got in the first 30 minutes. You're a coach. You help people. Yeah. You think you know this stuff that you teach them, but do you love them?
Mm.
Do you love your brother and your sister in the world? And by the way, I actually have a biological brother and sister, but I'm not referring to that. It's referring to
Yeah.
everybody in the world. Do you
Right.
love them? Or are you fearful of them? Do you have a wall up? Do do have a protection. And I'm starting to realize how I, at that time, saw humans is my dad was, still love my dad, did the best he could, but he was MIA, mom alcoholic. All these other people abused us, myself, my sister. I had totally had no trust for mankind, and I was
Right.
living in fear of everything.
Yeah.
And the course was basically saying, it's your ego. And what's your ego, Kaya? Your ego is the wounded self, the wounded self that doesn't feel safe, that holds back from loving others, that keeps people at bay, that hides behind you're the coach, you're
Right.
the healer, you're this, you're that. But meanwhile, you're so messed up. And if it says in the Course of Miracles, if you could only just give up the grandiosity of your ego, which by the way, I had my nice suits, I had my nice tie, and I always got, I got the shiny tie, the whatever, the silk ties, and I thought I was it because I'm now made it, and I'm coaching these companies, these big Fortune 500 companies. And it says, if you could just give up that bullshit, you could just give up the grandiosity of your ego. And I will tell you, son, speaking to me, you can step into the grandeur of God. And it was in that moment that I had my epiphany, and it was the door opened. Then you go in the door. Then you need to uninstall, right? What the Course of Miracles said. Course of Miracles makes it very clear. You want to be enlightened? It says, how do you become enlightened? You think, I think, we all think we need to learn something new. Learn something and become enlightened. It says, no. It says, you need to unlearn. You need to unlearn. I need to unlearn all the distrust of humanity, that nobody has my back, that I don't matter, that no one gives a crap about me. I needed to unlearn all of that pain. I need to unlearn it and go so that I could learn the new thing. And what the Course is basically teaching us is they're all children of God, children of Source, children of the universe, children of whatever your higher power belief is. And to recognize that we are this little dot, this little pebble in this universe. But we're, by the way, you've heard that the notion that we come from stars, right? Right? That stardust that spread all that matter around the entire universe, that created the planets, and then we come from that. So we're basically stars. So stepping into how God sees me, and stepping into, and the Course of Miracles is so great on this. This is another massive breakthrough. Do you want to get to know me, Kaya? Do you want to get to know God?
Yeah.
The way you will get to know God, the Course of Miracles said, is by loving your brother and sister.
Yeah.
Get to know your brother and sister. I'm like, wait a minute, my brother and sister, these are the people that let me down my whole entire life. No, not my biological brother, sister, meaning humanity.
But humanity
Even my
let you
own
down.
father that gave birth to me,
Right.
who loved me supposedly more than anybody, even that let me down. So of course, everybody else is going to let you down.
Right. Yeah.
So it really ties into Jungian psychology. So Course in Miracles goes very, very nicely into, we combine it with neurolinguistic programming and NLP and timeline therapy, because Jungian psychology, if most of your listeners might have heard of, what you heard of psychology, and one of the two famous names is Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud.
And Sigmund
Carl
Freud,
Jung came up with the idea of perception is projection. Whatever's going on in your mind, the belief system, we literally have that as a filter. We see the world through this filter. And based on how we see the world through this filter, that's what you see and that's what you attract. Like, in other words, if we sent you in a room and you believe that there's no money and there's scarcity, you're going to go in the room and that's what you're going to see.
That's right.
But if I sent Richard Branson, let's just say, if I sent Richard Branson in that same room as you, do you think Richard Branson would find opportunity and see opportunity in a room where nobody else saw it, which is
Yes, he
interesting.
would.
With Richard Branson, where the airport, the weather was terrible, the airport got shut down, and everybody went into complete panic mode, frustrated. They couldn't get to see their families on the holidays. What did Richard do early days? He went around and said, look, do you want to get home? Do you want to get home? Do you want to get home? Would you be willing to put in $1,000? Would you be willing to put in $1,000? Would you be putting, and he got a whole bunch of people that were willing to put in X amount of money each, and he chartered a private plane. Right? He was able to go into the miserable experience and see opportunity where no one else was seeing it. So what it's teaching us is opportunity is there everywhere. Happiness is there. Your soulmate is there, literally waiting for you to wake up. And it might be your spouse who you're not even awake. You're sleeping in your own misery, and the person you're married to is there in the house with you. And you have a complete dysfunctional relationship because you're with your so-called soulmate, but you're asleep. Right? It's wake up. The opportunity is there, the love's there, the happiness there. It's right there in front of you. But we need to change our perception, right? So Reverend Michael Beckwith in The Secret with Bob Proctor and Jack Canfield, he says it so well. He says, you don't describe what you see. So in your eyes, you don't look at the world and describe, well, this is the world I see. He says it so profoundly. He says, you don't describe what you see. He says, you see what you describe. So you see what you describe, meaning based on the description you're already having, the story you're already having in your head, you're projecting that story. And by the way, everybody has an ego. I still have an ego.
We all do.
Do you think ego likes to be right? Do you believe
it does.
when your ego has the story that, men are this way, women are that way, really salespeople are all this way, or this person's that way, or Middle Eastern people are like this, or Christian people are just like that, or, cats are like this, or dogs are like, do you believe your ego wants to be wrong about your story, your perception?
That's right.
So the question is this: is our perception reality and actuality? Is our perception reality and actuality? So what the Course has taught me is that, and the breakthrough is realizing that we're all children of the universe of God. If you want to build a relationship, that's why the Course defines heaven as not a place or a condition. The Course defines heaven as a oneness with everything. When you're realizing, I'm not better than you. That's another thing Course talks about. We're always trying, or I'm trying to be better than you, because deficiency now, for me to win, I need to beat you. But no, when I don't compete with you, when I collaborate with you, when I join forces with you, every idea, it's like I'm holding on to this idea. I don't want to tell you because you're going to steal it. It's as when you take that idea and you share it, it grows in you. So it's a complete, the Course is basically saying we have a complete upside down way of thinking. And it's creating, if I were to summarize this in 1 minute, it's creating misery in your relationships, misery in your health, health issues, career issues. It's creating so much misery. And are you willing to give up the misery and step into love? Are you willing to get up fear, step into love? The moment when I decided I am no longer going to be fearful of my brother and sister, I'm going to look at not only my brother and sister in the world as my equal, I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to see my brother and sister as a child of God.
Yes.
Even when they don't see they're a child of God, even when they're going through their crap, I'm going to see the light. Course talks about Christ consciousness. And so it's talking about Christ's vision. It's basically saying your eyes are lying to you all the time.
Yeah.
You're seeing what your eye sees based on a lot on what your ego sees. which basically is always saying, I'm not safe and I'm separate and you're over there in that body and I'm over there in this body. And we're both going after limited resources and one of us is going to die in the process, right? It's who
Well,
has
it's
and
the
who doesn't.
lack mentality too. The lack
Complete lack
mentality.
mentality.
Yeah.
And so, man, I just go on for days. It's been
Oh my
such
gosh. I know.
profound trip. And when I do this in a breakthrough, I have a 26-step breakthrough I do for people that are really ready to do the work
Yeah.
of giving up the depression. And most people don't even admit that they have depression and anxiety. And some people
Yeah.
do, I know, and I did. I was there. I almost felt like I got so bad. I wanted to, after my surgery, I got so bad. There were days where I said, I now understand why people want to commit suicide and do commit
Mhm.
suicide. And I said, I'm not there just yet, but if this gets any worse,
Yeah.
I could see myself and giving that up. And I really think your show, Sandee, Happiness Solved, I do really believe this is the elixir, is the word.
Yeah.
It's the holy grail. It's the what does God want for us? Source, love, infinite universe. In the Course of Miracles, it just wants you to be happy.
That's right.
And it just wants you to bring happiness to others. It wants you to
Mm.
be the love, be the light, share the love, share the light. And let's talk business for a second. What does that look like if you're a real estate agent? What does that look
Hmm.
like? Financial service agent. What does that look like if you have a business and you have products and services to sell? The Course of Miracles says your business is your your mission, your commission to the world. You are offering these services as a metaphor for what you're really giving, which is love and light to people.
That's
So
right.
your love and light, maybe you're a painter. It's going to be a painting that makes people go, wow. Your love and light might be like LeBron James or Kobe or Jordan. It
Yeah.
might be the way you play the sport. You might be educating people as a teacher. You might be empowering people as a coach. You might be entertaining. You might be a comedian. Actually, one of the great things that what's his name, Jim Carrey said. Jim Carrey, he's got a lot of amazing quotes, but one of his quotes is that just for that 1 minute or just for that 1 hour, when you come see my movie, I hope that I've given you an escape.
Yeah.
The minutia and the stress and the worry, and I was
Right.
able to get you to laugh. I
Yeah.
was able to get you to laugh, chuckle, you get to that inner child, have fun. So we're all in our different ways, modes, methods, and skill sets. We're all sharing that light with one another. Uh,
Yes.
and
That's,
so your show is the elixir.
thank you.
It's the elixir. It's hands down, I think, the single most important thing that, according to the Course, that God wants for all of us is to let go
Absolutely.
of fear, let go of misery, step into happiness. And it talks about sharing that. It says
Yeah.
when you share that happiness, that light that's in you, when you share that with others, it grows in you. An idea
Yes.
that is shared grows. You don't give the happiness to someone else and now, oh, the ego says if I give someone else money, then I have less money. If
Mm-mm.
I give someone else this resource, then I have less of this resource. Of course, Miracles
Nope.
says the exact opposite. It says only what you're giving the other
That's
person
right.
can you receive. And it also says, which is where I was for many years, only what you withhold from another person are you withholding from yourself.
Right. And when we give to others, whether you're giving them money, food, a gift, whatever it is, even when you're paying for your groceries, if you express gratitude while you're doing that, it's going to come back to you. And I think on that note, we're going to close this up. We're just going to have to do this again, Kaya,
We're
because
going to have to do
we
this
just have
again.
we just have so much to talk about. and I loved everything you said, which is why I just let you keep talking, because I couldn't say it better myself. You're amazing. Where can people find you? And just shout out your website and where they can connect with you.
All right. So first, you can follow me on all my social media, Sir Kaya Redford. And then also, if you want to be invited into some of our events, we have free trainings, we have videos, we have a Facebook group, and then also maybe even a consultation. I would definitely love to support someone who would like to meet with me and chat, maybe what about your goals and your vision. So to do that, you would text the letters BM for breakthrough mastery, B breakthrough, M mastery to 26786. Again, you just grab your phone and you text BM 26786. And
Awesome.
again, texting BM to 26786. And then from there, you'll get some invites for some free events, some free coaching, and maybe even we can chat one-on-one one of these days
Oh
too.
my gosh. Fantastic. Well, to all my audience, thank you so much for listening today. Sir Kaya Redford, you're amazing. And we're definitely going to do this again because this was really awesome. Thank you
I
so
love it.
much.
Thank you so much, Sandee. Continue to do the great work you're doing in the world.
Thank you.